Hey YouTubers, RC Mike back with you with a tip for the FS GT3B radio. It's a entry-level radio. It works really well. It's got a lot of good features on it. So one of the issues that it has that people are doing is replacing the steering with a ball bearing, or installing a ball bearing in the steering. Over time, these wheels start to squeak, and that can be kind of annoying. So I'm going to show you how to take this wheel off and install a bearing in there, and I'm going to do it in real time so you can see kind of how quickly it can be done. And I've watched a few videos that were kind of lengthy. So anyway, we'll try to give you a quick demonstration of how to get that bearing in there. Things we're going to use is a 8 by 12 bearing, which I'll show you where to get those. They're readily available at Tower Hobbies. Anyway, we'll show you a clip on that. And then the other thing that you want to get is a step bit. Harbor Freight sells these in a kit. There's 3 of them that come in a kit. They're $14, and these are definitely worth their weight in gold. I use these all the time for drilling body holes in Lexan, or just drilling holes in whatever. And it's nice to have a step bit that you can drill several different size holes quickly and easily. This is the one that I like to use most. It's got the most steps on it. The step that we're going to drill today is on the very second to the last, and on this bit it is a 15/32 size drill. So in any event, when you're going to be drilling into this plastic case for this bearing hole, it's a good idea, if you're not using something like this, to practice on a piece of plastic so you can drill into that and make sure your bearing fits in something like a scrap piece of Lexan, or something that you can test first, so you get an idea as to how far down you need to drill with your step bit or body reamer or whatever. You can do it with a Dremel, but in this case you're going to have to really pay attention with a Dremel. It's pretty difficult to get a perfectly round hole. Anyway, we'll bring you guys in a little bit closer. I've got several of these radios. Some of these I've already done. They're a great little radio for the money. You can even race with them. I have. They're not the best for that, but for $40 you really can't beat it. So in any event, we're going to pull this one apart and put that bearing in it. So we'll bring you guys in a little closer so you can see better. So the first thing that we need to look at is getting this cover off right here. And if you look real close, there's a little hole right at the bottom of this cover. And what you want to do is get a small little screwdriver in there or something to start prying this little plastic cover off. So I have a little screwdriver that I like to use, and you just want to get that in there and start pulling that plastic cover up. Once you get this cover off, it goes pretty quick. So as you can see, it's starting to pop out of there. You hang on to that, put that aside. Inside there's going to be a number 1 Phillips. Then you're going to pull that screw out first. So we'll just take our screwdriver, pull that out. and you're going to pull on this wheel. You got to pull a little pretty good. I like to hold the base of the radio here, not down here, because this is a little loose, but I'm going to hold this part of it. So as you're pulling that off, it's a little snug, but it slides off, and it's keyed in there. So there's a flat spot right there. You can see flat spot, and then of course it coincides with the flat spot on the top of the radio. So anyway, this is where the bearing's going to end up going, is going to be inside this piece of plastic. So this piece of plastic, we're going to have to drill a hole in there. So what I like to do is put the bearing on there and then scribe around as best I can around here to make a mark, so you know kind of where that hole should be, because this bearing is going to inset inside this thing and replace your plastic on plastic situation where you've got just a plastic case here riding on this plastic wheel, and like I say, that can wear over time, and it squeaks for the most part. So anyway, put the bearing on there, set it in there, and then you want to take like an X-Acto or some sort of scribing tool, and you want to scribe around here, right around that bearing, right where you're gonna be cutting the hole. So it's kind of hard. I'll scribe right around there. I'm using a X-Acto blade. I have another blade I normally use, which you guys aren't going to have this. This is a custom carving blade with a extremely hard tipped knife on there. But like I say, you can use a X-Acto. That works okay. The reason I'm marking this is so when you pull this bearing off and you start drilling that hole, you know exactly where you should be, and it'll give you an idea as to let you know whether you're off or not. So as you can see, we've scored that plastic right here. Can't get all the way back in there, but you got a good idea as to where you're gonna drill that hole. This score right here is right where that bearing needs to be sitting. So once you get that done, you take off these 3 screws here, and that's pretty quick. The other one that's a little bit tricky is there's a screw, 2 screws underneath here, but you just want to get something flat under there. Let's just start prying that sticker up. I like to try to save the sticker just to keep it looking a little better. Anyway, we'll set that aside. Then you've got 2 more screws here. Some guys are taking this whole thing apart, which you don't really need to. All you need to do is get that outer piece of plastic off, which is this piece right here. And then the screws we'll just dump out right here. Get those out of the way. Now if you look inside the radio, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It just has a spring there, and it just pivots. Anyway, Now you can see the score mark here, which is here, which is where you want to have that drill bit drill up to. So we'll see if we can't get that drilled to our mark. And as you turn this, as this bit turns, you want to just kind of go real slow and pay attention to how close you're getting to that line. As you get closer, you want to clean this debris off of there. And as you can see, it happens pretty quick. So, and you can still see our score line, so you know we need to go a little further. That's it right there. That's our hole. Now, I've used this step bit before, so I know where I need to stop on that drill bit. On this particular one, it's the second to last step that you want to go to. You want to bring it right down to this one right here on this particular bit, and that's 15/32 is this size. Now if you're using something else, you're going to have to practice on a piece of plastic and fit that bearing into a piece of plastic and kind of get an idea as to how far in you need to go before you're too big. And the downside with this mod is if you go too big with this hole, it's going to be a little tricky to repair it. So anyway, that's what it looks like on the inside, and that's the outside. I'm going to just take a quick second to take the burrs off the inside of this thing. This bearing here is going to go through that hole, hopefully. So we'll just put the whole thing back in place. And you don't want to push real hard on that bearing. You may have to push the back in a little bit here. And that should slip right in there. And then this fits on here. That goes there. And then you've got your bearing installed in your radio. And then once you get the bearing in there, it's a few more screws. Lots of times you'll see me using drills. I'm doing this by hand only because it's really easy. I don't want people to think that using a drill on these plastic parts is a good idea, because it's not. And like I say, if you strip them out, it makes this job a whole lot longer to do if you make a mistake. So we'll put these in by hand. We'll put our little sticker back on. And then our wheel, and you want to make sure you get that flat spot to coincide with your flat spot on the radio. So you flip it and just kind of push that in a little. What I like to do is pull the steering wheel down with the screw, so you can feel the screw pulling it down to the mechanism. And that's that. So once you get that screw in, you're all set. Give it a test, make sure it's working okay, and then final step. And this thing again, hold the wheel and just push that into place as best you can. And that's that. So anyway, that's our installation of our bearing on a FlySky FS GT3B. It should take about 20 to 30 minutes to do this modification, as long as you don't make any mistakes. And what it gives you is just a nice smooth feel, and it takes away any of the play and the squeaking that can come from these particular radios. So anyway, hopefully that helps, and we'll see you next time. Another short little tip with these particular radios that I like to do, and it's been working out very, very well, is I get these radios from Hobby Parts, and I get these rechargeable batteries from Hobby Parts also. You can get 8 of them for, it's $10 or $11. Anyway, I've been using these for 2 or 3 years now, and have not had any problems with any of the sets I have. I have probably 5 or 6 sets of these batteries, and none of them have failed. And then you want to get just a regular transmitter receiver style charger. Anyway, and these are easy to get at any hobby store. It's just a transmitter charger. So, and then the charging port is right on the back side. And it charges your batteries. Some guys are doing the LiPo conversions, which is cool, and if you've got a LiPo battery or whatever, that's great. However, to charge them, you got to take the battery out, and maybe you got some more. For this, I just plug it into the wall, and whenever I'm not using it, I just plug it in. So for me, it works out a lot easier. And worst case scenario is the batteries do die. You can always get triple or double A's someplace. You might not be able to get a specifically sized LiPo to fit in there, so that's why I like to use this. So anyway, hopefully that helps, and we'll see you next time.